Okay, welcome to influence number 3 on human resource management, looking at the economic influence on human resource management. Okay, so what are the economic influences on human resources? So the economic cycle refers to different levels of growth in an economy. During times of high economic growth, or what we call boom times, and we have looked at this before in prelim, businesses will experience an increase in demand for goods and services within the economy and therefore will need to hire new workers to produce more products. So obviously this has a direct impact on human resources because they are in charge of hiring. During downturns in the economic cycle or bust periods or a recession, the demand for goods and services falls. Businesses are then forced to reduce the size of their workforce, again, directly impacting human resources as separation is one of the functions of human resource management, or one of the processes. We'll be getting to that soon. Okay, so here we're looking at unemployment rates in Australia. When we talk about unemployment rates, we look at the population of Australia and we work out who in the entire population is able to work. Now, not everybody who is able to work is obviously working. So those people that are able to work, who are not working, are the people that we count towards unemployment figures. Okay, so you can see from 2000 to 2016, there's been some ups and downs in the unemployment rate. In particular, I'd just like you to notice 2008, 2009, 2010. Now, something happened in the global economy in 2008, which had an effect on unemployment rates in Australia. Didn't really show up in our figures until late 2009 because Australia was one of the least affected countries in many ways with what actually happened. We're going to talk about that in the next slide. Okay, so the global financial crisis happened. So in late 2008, several large banks in the USA collapsed since they could not recover many risky loans that they had made to home buyers. This caused many businesses in the US to either reduce their workforce or to close completely. As a result of the global financial crisis in Australia, industries such as steel and mining suffered a decline due to a lower demand from the USA and other affected countries. I'm just going to pause for a moment. Hang on. Okay, I'm back. You probably didn't even notice I was gone. I just wanted to go and double check something. There's actually a film called The Big Short about the global financial crisis, which is actually really not a bad explanation of what actually happened that caused this global financial crisis. It is available on Netflix. It has Christian Bale, Steve Carell, Ryan Gosling in it. It is really, quite an entertaining watch, and it really, really does explain the actual setup and what happened with the global financial crisis in a really good way. If you don't have Netflix, it is on YouTube. I don't know if there's a free version, but you can pay to watch it on YouTube. Usually those payments are about $3-4, and it allows you 48 hours in which to watch it. It's not mandatory that you watch it, but if you really would like to have a better understanding of the global financial crisis, I highly recommend you look at the film The Big Short. Okay, at the moment we have something going on which we've mentioned a few times, which is affecting the economy. So COVID-19 or the coronavirus. Okay, so mid-February, around 1 in 6 Australian businesses, or 15%, have already been affected by the coronavirus, also known as COVID-19. This new threat to business comes after over a quarter of Australian businesses, 28%, said that they had been affected by the extensive bushfires over the last few months, according to a special Roy Morgan Snap SMS survey of 1,170 businesses. Okay, so you have a diagram there, And in red, you can see businesses that were affected Australia-wide and state by bushfires and or floods. And then in blue, businesses that have been affected by COVID-19. Now, it would be really unwise to ignore this particular situation that's going on at the moment, particularly when it comes to your HSC. You may find that you are able to talk about COVID-19 in such a way in your short answer and business reports and or extended questions in the HSC. It really is having an effect on all aspects of business. So it's something that we need to keep in the forefront of our minds and think about how is it affecting business. Every single one of you can probably already off the top of your head think of a business that has been affected by this particular issue, and you should be able to talk about it a little bit. Remember, those things that you experience, you are well equipped to talk about. Just remember to use nice big business terminology type words. Okay, so a little bit more information on coronavirus, and obviously, as you can see, there is a clip attached up the top as well. Now, the clips I've attached around coronavirus do look specifically at the effects that it has had on the economy and businesses. It's not just coronavirus is whatever. Okay, so a little over a week after the Australian government stopped all direct commercial flights to China in early February, the coronavirus is already striking several industries. Around 2/5 of manufacturers are already reporting being affected, and closely followed by 1/3 of education and training businesses and those in the wholesale industry. Well, you all know for a fact that education has been disrupted because here we are. Okay, other industries to already be feeling the effects of the coronavirus include accommodation and food services, which include travel and tourism businesses, community services, admin and support services, and property and business services. Respondents to a survey about the virus and its effect on business described in their own words the impact the coronavirus was already having, and these responses fell into a few broad categories, including the issue of workers or students being quarantined and kept away from work / study. Not that everybody's been complaining about that, but you still have to do your schoolwork. The impact on supply lines for the import or export of goods and parts to and from China, the decline in forward bookings from Chinese tourists and cancellations by customers in Asia, as well as the general hit to confidence in which includes a weaker stock market as well as lower foot traffic in stores due to a combination of the aforementioned. Now, since I put this PowerPoint together, which was only, say 4 or 5 weeks maximum, these things have been felt even further. There have been more restrictions on where you can and can't go. So, as I said, this is an experience that you're all living through and should be able to talk about quite eloquently about the effect that it has had on a number of businesses, both large and small. Okay, so there are 3 clips here. Yeah, 2 of them may be funny ones because there is Simpson pictures attached, but I honestly can't remember if I attached a serious one to one of those Simpsons images, so it's well worth clicking on them and having a look. I am quite positive that the one with the little alien spaceship on it was not a funny cartoony one. I just liked the picture to attach the clip to. Okay. Alright, so here we have a past HSC or trial question. I think this one actually came from a trial. So, which of the following changes in employment relations is most likely to occur in a period of economic growth? So, changes, employment relations, human resources. Okay. So, what is going to happen if there's economic growth? Will there be a decrease funding to family-friendly programs? Will there be decreased financial rewards offered to employees? Will there be an increased number of training programs to overcome skill deficits? Or an increased number of employees offered redundancy packages? Now, if you think about what we talked about much earlier in this video, about what happens when there's economic growth, you'll see the answer is C, an increased number of training programs to overcome skill deficits. Now, A talks about taking money away from things, and we said it's economic growth, so it's not going to be that. B talks about taking away money from something, but that doesn't happen in economic growth. C talks about spending money on making employees better at their job. That seems to make the most sense. And D, increasing number of employees offered redundancy packages. Remember, when the economy is booming, more people are spending, so more people are employed, so people would not be being made redundant during a period of economic growth. Okay, lastly, you have a short answer question. Number of lines in your work booklet give you an indication of the amount of work I expect. The question here is, analyze the relationship that exists between the global economic cycle and the level of domestic employment. Okay, so we're talking about the global economy. So you could talk about things like COVID-19 or the global financial crisis of 2008, because that's things that are affecting the global economy. How does this impact on domestic employment? So we're talking about employment within Australia. Okay, remember, domestic within Australia. If you have trouble thinking of those things, think of an airport. You have the international airport and you have the domestic airport. Domestic flights, those flights that only travel within Australia, whereas international go all over the world. Okay, just a little hint on answering the question. Okay, it was worth 4 marks. So how would you get 4 marks? So let's divide the answer into half. In the first half, explain what happens in times of strong economic growth to employees and explain one implication for employees and employers. So strong economic growth means this happens with employees. For employees, this means this. For employers, it means that. Okay, the second half of the question, explain what happens in times of declining economic growth to employees and explain one implication for employees or employers. Now, the focus in both of those halves was predominantly on employees because the question asked how it affected domestic employment. Now, employers are the ones employing the employees, so we have to also include them within our answer. All right, good luck with that, guys. I'll see you later.